Hey everyone, welcome to Nerds Talk. I'm Mike,
And I'm Chris.
and today we are doing episode 7 of the Wandavision show. That's right, this is Breaking the Fourth Wall, is what the episode is
Yeah.
called, and what a great episode it is as we launch forward from the 90s to the 2000s. Well, I'm not going to jump into spoilers yet. We're gonna. I'm so excited to jump right in. Let's discuss, like as we always do, the spoiler free what we thought of this episode and kind of where the show is going. Chris, why don't you jump right in?
Yeah, I like obviously the title says breaking the fourth wall. I like how they, brought that into the episode with all the characters. Really broke it open a bit with some, continuing of the story in this episode, which I thought was great. We're kind of realizing some more aspects to it without giving anything away yet. And yeah, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I completely agree. What a great episode. Finally understand exactly what's going on and how everything's kind of piecing together as we are basically 2 episodes away from the end now. We got some awesome reveals. We got some clarity and still some questions to be answered, which I'm sure will answer themselves in the last few episodes. But what a powerful episode this is. And again, if you haven't got it from us by now, you should definitely be watching this show. As a Marvel fan, as an MCU fan, you do not want to miss out. Yeah, we can definitely see how they're piecing everything together and how much they're going to propel not just this show, but the MCU as a whole going forward, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, there's not much more I can say. Excellent episode, really great watch. And yeah, definitely recommend.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Awesome. So this is the part of the show where we jump into the spoiler-filled section. If you haven't watched the episode, stop the episode, watch it, come back, listen to us ramble on about all the different Easter eggs and stuff like that, and then post your opinions in the comments below. So with that, we'll get started. So this episode opens up with, and correct me if I'm wrong, because again, some of it gets...
I think Wanda kind of talking about saying, like in bed,
she's in bed,
kind of peeking out.
And then it cuts to her doing a talking
head. It goes back so it goes back of her kind of like, it reminded me of like Modern Family where they show an episode and then they cut over to a chair where a character is talking about that situation kind of one-on-one with the director and things like that. So it gave that kind of vibe to me, which I liked.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I liked it. Yeah, it was nice to have that. They are breaking the fourth wall by talking to a director or someone or a camera or us as the audience. So it was quite interesting, and I liked Wanda's character being like that crazy tired mom was super knowing what's going on and things like that. Character traits.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I found that so jumping into the 2000s, they're playing homage to a lot of the shows that have the talking heads. So we have, like you said, Modern Family, we have The Office, we have Parks and Rec, and speaking of which, the intro was a mashup of The Office. I don't know if you got the tune.
Yeah,
the tune is very similar to The Office with the beats and how it's sped up, and I was like, this is amazing with the names, and it was all about Wanda. And then at the very end, there was a vision, which I thought was funny. But yeah, they got like, again, it's still a comedy. It's still like, this is a 2000s comedy. This is what you expect from Modern Family, Parks and Rec, and Office, and that kind of show. Is you're going to get some moments, you're going to get some like side commentary to the camera, and it kind of fills in some blanks. So you kind of get to see.
Or the side looks as well, like the eye rolls or like looking at the camera, like.
Yeah, it's great. And we exactly as you said, we get more understanding of like Wanda doesn't understand, and she understands that she is in control, but she also doesn't understand how she's somehow losing control of the situation. She's becoming aware that she's not entirely in control, and I myself have come back and forth on this of her being controlled by Hydra or being under the influence or something like that, and then coming out of it in that episode a few weeks ago where she comes out of the barrier, and I'm like, oh no, she's in control, she's doing all this stuff, and then I'm like, well, I guess it could be someone that's making her do this without her knowing, and and this episode pretty much confirms that yes, she is under control. She is not completely aware of what's happening. She is under a spell itself, right?
Yeah, I get the feeling like she knows she obviously is controlling or made this world. I have a feeling that she thinks she's in somewhat control, but then there's someone in the background. Like there's some aspects that she can't figure out why she can't control, or why things are happening, or why people are joining her show. So it was interesting to see that, and now we know why. Behind the scenes, some other people were doing things.
Yeah, well, we can come out and say it. This is a spoiler-filled
Yeah,
section. So you want to jump in?
Agnes. Yeah, Agnes is a witch with powers.
Agatha. Yeah.
Yeah, Agatha the witch. So she has been the one that I like at the end where it shows a montage of her,
Hmm.
coming in to the world. She brought her brother in, Pedro. She killed the dog. We found Sparky. She
Yep.
killed Sparky. She missed that. It appears she's taken the boys or done something with the boys. So
Hmm.
was that her intention? Is that why she wanted Vision to come back and Wanda and for them to create their two children? Is there more to that? Are they the key, really, rather than Wanda and Vision? Who knows? Maybe they have even more power than we suspect,
Hmm.
or maybe they're a key or port to a portal or something. So there's lots of possibilities that can still be answered. But this episode shows that Agatha was behind a lot of the things that went wrong or
Yes.
happened.
Yep. The art, the whole show, the magic show in the second
That's right for the
episode,
kids.
she was
Yeah,
messing things up, and then the neighbor who was cutting through the wall, it was her all
yeah,
along, and then her in the
yeah,
car, it looked like she lost her mind. It wasn't. She was in full control. She was
yeah.
acting the situation to throw Vision off the trail. But I think it was Vision that kind of got in her way, because I think when Scarlet Witch is having the outburst and knocking people away, it's Agatha's spell that's trying to keep, just like when she's trying to remember, she can't remember. I think that's the sort of hex or whatever that Agatha has over Scarlet Witch. So she is conscious and aware of what's going on, but only aware of what she wants her to know. So her past is
Yeah,
kind of hazy. She's not understanding why things are kind of messing up. She's kind of, that's where she kind of snaps out of it, and then she doesn't know why until she tries to fix things, so to speak, because this is the
hmm,
reality that she lives in, not knowing that it's not the true reality. And so, yeah, it looks like Agatha was the one who, had her go out and like stop people from coming in and stop trying to get her saved. It was Agatha who realized, I'm assuming it was Agatha that realized that, what's her name? I'm going to say, it's not Genevieve, Geraldine. Is that her name? I can't remember her name now.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
she didn't belong there. She just appeared one day. She even said it to the neighbor. She just appeared. She doesn't have a house, whatever, like that. And then gets the Scarlet Witch to eject her, and then she manages to find a way back in again. And so yeah, it's Agatha's control or influence on Scarlet Witch is causing her to behave unnatural,
yeah,
and as such, as Vision is starting to figure out that something's wrong, she has now, in this particular episode, has been doing whatever she can to keep Vision and Darcy from getting to Scarlet Witch, because she's
yes,
afraid they're going to reveal what's going on. And
yeah,
it's they're putting like all literally roadblocks, and people crossing and all sorts of stuff to keep them from getting back to town. And so the whole episode, it was them pretty much in the truck after he frees her from the circus. It was them pretty much in the truck trying to figure out what's
yeah,
going on. And I thought it was interesting when Darcy's kind of, he still doesn't know his past. He forgot that he stood up to Thanos and that she killed him. He doesn't remember any of that. Like, even that's all
no,
wiped from his memory.
yeah,
So, and she's like, yeah, you died, and then he rewound time, and then he killed you and made her watch
killed you
everything.
again.
So
Yeah,
you died twice.
yeah,
And I'm like, oh, that's weird. And then he's trying to understand, like, why am I brought here? Well, we did find out that the head of Sword was apparently working on bringing him
trying
back
to.
to life.
That's right. Yeah,
Not
reactivate them.
yeah, and not taking him apart or trying to get other information from him. And so, she used Scarlet Witch to bring him out, maybe because if he was alive, he would probably be one of the few that would see through the trickery. I don't know, but clearly she wanted him part of this, or like you said, he was a key in instrumental in getting the kids. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting because I wouldn't be surprised if Agatha was the one that kind of put Scarlet Witch up to getting Vision. Like maybe her plan is because as we saw, she brought Scarlet Witch down to her basement. It's kind of it looked like a circular cave type, maybe a temple or some sort.
With a bunch
There
of
was a
doors.
magical book, right?
Yep.
There's like some candles. There's it looked like potions and things around, and a magical book. So did they need Vision and Scarlet Witch for this book, or I would love to see what, like, obviously, because when we saw, she also put a little spell after she said, you're not the only one with magical powers, women with magical powers in this world.
Yeah.
She kind of did this things to Scarlet Witch and made her under a mind control, I would assume.
Hmm.
So I wonder if she was the one that instructed her to get Vision and do this world, and this is what you want, and the show kind of thing.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see in the next two episodes how this pans out and what happened, how far back.
Well, we can confirm that she was the one doing the editing because we saw, again,
Right.
when she was doing the talking head, she was behind the camera. So even though she was speaking to Agatha, she didn't realize she was speaking to Agatha because, again,
Right.
the magical spell that's on them. So literally, she was in control of everything. Even in the scenes that we didn't see her, she was on the lawn when the brother appeared, and she was really instrumental in everything. So I think it's very important to understand that she's pulling the strings. The reason is why. And so I believe that she is connected to, and I think you brought this up in a previous episode, she's connected to Mephisto in some way, potentially, right?
I know Mephisto is very connected with Scarlet Witch and Vision, so I don't remember if Agatha is part of that
or bring
if,
him.
yeah, I don't remember that part, but I know that all four of these characters are very intertwined in the comic series with Vision and Scarlet Witch and Agatha and Mephisto, so they're all kind of bunched together.
Yeah, and it's funny because she was the neighbor that was always there to hand to hand, always there part of the show, and then she became the one the unofficial like watching of the kids, and then she said, "Why don't I take the kids from you so you can have a U day kind of thing?" And
See,
then the
that
kids,
kind of put a red flag up for me when she came in and was like, "Oh, let me take the kids." I was like, is this what like this was me saying, "Oh, this is her way to get the kids." She's finally able to like she's broken Scarlet Witch enough that she's trusting her and just saying, "I'm too tired, like a tired parent,
yeah,
to do this. I need a break." And this is how she's going to get the kids, or what it may be, but we don't know what she's done with them.
absolutely. And I think that again, that book is there for a reason. She's trying to do. She obviously has a plot, a purpose. She's trying to do something. And I found it funny because the kid, I want to say it's Billy, the one that has
Yeah,
the
so she's
magical
empty.
powers. Yeah, it
Yeah,
says that like, oh, I like it here. It's quiet, and it says like that you're quiet, like you don't have all the voices and stuff because she's not being controlled. And I was like,
yeah,
oh, that makes sense that she is like he can tell. And so when she realized, oh wow, like they're on to me, these kids are powerful or whatever. She's obviously did something with them, whether she locked them up. I did feel that in that room, that basement, that there were some doors that were
yes,
in that room. And coming back to that, if you go back to the commercial that popped up this week was the Nexus.
yes,
And after doing some research, Scarlet Witch is known as the Nexus. What do they call it? The Nexus Hero, the Nexus Avenger. She basically is the anchor point to all of the multiverse, all the different dimensions and stuff like that. She is like the true the true anchor of the reality of all the different realities and stuff like that. She's like the center, and it kind of makes sense now because the commercial was all about her, and like the Nexus was talking about like taking your meds and like figuring out. It was all
yeah.
about her, right?
Are you in control of the world, or it's not all about you, or
Exactly.
is it? Like, yeah,
And then in this whole room, I'm like, oh, is this the center point? Is this the nexus where they're going to open up portals to different realities, different dimensions? Which then one confirms that the multiverse, whatever, in the MCU officially, and again, linking up with Doctor Strange's The Multiverse of Madness, is
yes,
this
this
going to
could be a
be
great,
linked? Right? She's
yeah,
the next. Maybe he needs her because she is the nexus, so that he doesn't get lost in this madness, and through her can always bring her back to reality. And maybe that's why he needs her to go through this multiverse of madness. So I think again, it's going to be connected. We know that they're on each other's. She's in the movie, and he's going to be in some part of the show, whether it's this season or a different season. We know that he's coming at some point. So there's a connection there. And I think this nexus is the key. And I think that again, this room is going to be like the opening for these different dimensions, portals, whatever have you, and how they might bring, like you said, X-Men and all sorts of random stuff in here. Mephisto could be part of it. His portal, hence the orangey glow behind one of the doors, could that be like the
yeah.
hell area or whatever you want to call it. So it's very interesting, and I thought that was very clever, and it was very, very, I think it was very, very smart. Like you said, these commercials were clearly all about her, and are all clues to like her and her bringing up and where she's come from and who she is, and this is kind of like the future, the like this is what she is and what she's going to be going forward. She's going to be the nexus, and I thought that was really cool. Once I did some research, but I mean, what are your thoughts on what we've discussed?
Yeah. So when she first went through that kind of stony tunnel, the first thing I saw were two kind of pillars, but they looked like they were half. So I'm kind of wondering if the boys are kind of locked in because if I
Yeah.
remember correctly, I think Mephisto, the two boys were drawn from some of his life force, I think, or
Oh,
vice
okay.
versa. So he might be
Oh.
drawn from their life force. So this might be a way for him to, resurrect or come to this life or this earth.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this was the plan to bring maybe Agatha is bringing Mephisto in, and then Doctor Strange has to come to try and battle him or what whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So this is obviously I think this is the intro to Doctor Strange. So this is pivotal to watch this show if you're going to watch the next, phase 5 of Marvel and going forward, especially with Doctor Strange movie. I think this is going to explain how it all starts.
Yep, I completely agree. And the other big reveal in this particular episode was
Rambo,
Rambo,
Captain
yeah,
Rambo. Yeah,
Maria Rambo. So she officially gets her specially built truck that she needed all the different materials to try to make it in, and so the army brought this like moon lander, this
yeah, I
space
like it. Yeah,
vehicle, and she's gonna pilot it because it supposedly has like the materials needed to like get through this barrier, and so she's all strapped in, she's got the astronaut suit on, she's all ready to go, and as she
yeah.
propels forward, it ends up getting stuck and it hits and the barrier becomes stronger, and they said that the barrier is adapting or
Absorbing.
changing
Yeah, like so it's absorbing it and like changing it to
to match
whatever
the
the world
vehicle.
needs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then they're like, no, it's they said something else about like, oh, it's transforming, or I can't remember. The truck basically goes up and is slowly starting to go in, but it's not being allowed like all the way in, and so the car itself is starting to transform the parts that's getting through, and so
yeah,
Maria frantically gets out. And as she does it, the truck gets launched back, and the front half
yeah,
is a pickup truck, and the back half is a rover as they're trying
yeah.
to
That's
like
right.
get through. And so then she kind
Yeah.
of looks back at them, and she's like, I can get through, and like, no, don't do this. And so she just runs through and pushes through, and then while she's doing that, there's like 3 or 4 versions of
All
her,
that's right.
and
All the ones that we've seen in the past, the 70s, 80s, and the 90s version of her, 60s, 70s, 80s. Anyways, there was like 3 versions of her that she was in the show as characters.
that's right. And so she was trying to get through, and there's a lot of words and stuff going in, and it was really, really hard for me to pick up. So actually, after watching the episode, I rewound it, put on subtitles, and read what was
Subtitles.
said there.
A lot of it was like, oh, it's about your mom. Like your mom's so powerful. You're, strong. It was like some from her past with, in Captain Marvel.
Exactly. It was the lines
Yeah,
exactly from Captain Marvel. It was basically when her mom was going to go and she was convincing her mom to join Captain Marvel to help and to fly. And then she says, I'm going to come help too. And she goes, not unless you can glow like your Aunt Carol. And then the last line was Ms. Marvel basically saying to her about her being like the brave girl, very, very brave girl and everything and all this stuff. And it was that moment that she kind of like had the will to like push through the barrier. And during these words and talking about her, like her glowing and all this kind of stuff was literally the transformation and her fully becoming the superhero that you had alluded to, Photon. And we know
yeah.
that she has a lot of different names, but we're gonna go by Photon as that's like the main one that she's
Synonymous with. Yeah,
synonymous. That's it.
yeah.
So yeah, and I'm like, she comes through, her eyes are glowing, and she's
Oh, that was so cool to see, like how
and her
blue her
suit.
eyes were glowing.
Her
Yeah,
suit
like
was
it
like a
was
skin tight
so
white.
awesome.
So I googled it, and Photon suit is white and black. Now it has a little bit
With
more of
like a star, I think, or
yeah, it's a star, and it has a little bit more like Storm with like the kind of cape out of the arms is a little bit more like that. But
yeah,
it still is white and black. So I thought that was a cool trying to show like the similarities. And again, it's not a big chunky astronaut suit. It is more of like a superhero like spandex like tight suit. And so she goes in and she sees everything. She sees energy pulses off the wires and all sorts of things. And I'm like, okay, I wonder how her powers work. Does she just transform into light, or how does it work? And so again, I did some Googling. And for those that are not in the know, Photon basically has all her powers is she basically has all she can transform into anything on the electromagnetic field spectrum. So all the different types of elements. So not just light and electricity, but electromagnetism and static and like they had this huge laundry list of like stuff, and one of them was they made mention of it, gamma ray. So they talked about like all the different things. It was like gamma rays, and one of the things that Scarlet Witch uses, like all of these like things are all on the spectrum, and she can literally transform into any of these one at a time. She can't
Yeah,
transform into
yeah.
multiple, but she can shift into these different energies, if you will.
Which
And
we
that,
kind of saw in this episode too, right?
yes, and you can, and that's what she was able to see, like the energy fields, magnetism on the wires, as well as like the energy in the air, and like just all the different types of. She could see it, and I guess essentially tap into it without, I guess, 100% realizing that she can do that yet. But we do find out later on as she kind of stands up to
Scarlet Witch,
yeah,
Wanda,
that she powers and hits the floor.
Yeah, yeah. It was kind of cool to see her like kind of absorb it and like just like do the superhero, like as Deadpool says, "Oh, superhero landing, superhero." She does the superhero landing and then gets back up. And Scarlet Witch is kind of like,
"What's going on here?"
Yeah, you didn't have this before, kind of thing. But as they're talking, this is where
Agatha kind of gets,
like, "Oh, we gotta go. She gets interrupted. Yeah, you've done enough. Leave," kind of thing, and swoops Wanda away. So, I think she can really tell when Wanda's at her weakest or when she's like not into it and vulnerable and defenseless. And these are all the times that she's kind of swooped in. Like she sent Pedro in when her and Vision were fighting and trying to figure out what was going on and his past, and he was scared and they were fighting. And then all of a sudden the door rings and Pedro's there. So it was like, distracting her from this because she won't overthink it because she's welcoming this distraction kind of thing.
That's
so
right.
These were all the weaknesses that Agatha was picking up on.
Yeah, and I find and it comes again full circle. So while she's under the influence, Agatha can't make her kill people. She has to do things of her own free will to a certain extent. Yeah. So while she's under this like spell, like she wants her to like eject people, but she won't kill people because again, as an Avenger, she doesn't want to kill or harm someone. So while she's angry and she's attacking, she doesn't want to, like her innate subconscious or unconscious like mind is like, I don't want to kill. So that's what Photon's
I'm
like,
not a bad
go ahead,
person.
do it, finish me off. And she's like, you can't do it, can you? Like, because you're still somewhat in control. You're still trying to fight what's going on without realizing that there's something going on here. And she's trying to help her through it. And that's when Agatha comes and kind of brings her away. And and we kind of see the
basics. But so Lee and Rambo found out, I guess Darcy emailed the final thing that she was able to hack through. The final firewall to find out that the director was trying to work on Vision, as we said, to remake him essentially, like reactivate him.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
They called
it. She was going in to try and
go ahead.
She was trying to warn Wanda, but she wasn't able to actually get it out and say what the plan was. But yeah, the code name was
Cataract.
Cataract, that's it.
Which is like your eyes. But I was wondering, is that significance? Is there something that like, is this project a well-known project? Is Agatha against it, or again, like what is her endgame? We're gonna find that out in a few weeks, but it'd be nice to try to figure this out ahead of time and be like, she doesn't want them to revive him, but she does want Scarlet Witch to believe he's alive essentially in this world, and he's clearly a key. I mean, like you said, if it's just instrumental in having the babies or if there's some other reason. But clearly he's also the one that's going to help snap her out of it. And that's why she's doing everything she can to keep Darcy and him from making his way back to like snap her out of it, because he almost did it once.
And Vision thinks, and maybe it is, but he thinks Wanda's trying to keep him from getting back to her. But maybe it is. So like maybe she's being made to put those obstacles in, or maybe it is Agatha, because Vision doesn't know that she's there as a threat.
Correct. At this point, he's unaware, and I'm sure he'll find out pretty quickly. And I think the other funny thing is did you stay until after the first set of credits? There was a bonus scene in this episode.
Was there?
There was. So it's not a big like, oh my gosh. It was basically, so you know how as Agatha and Wanda was walking down towards her house, Photon kind of looked and then decided to walk after them. So it then showed what Photon was doing. That's what the bonus scene was. And so she was looking in the windows and trying to figure out like what's going on. And then she sees like, those old storm cellar doors that lead to the basement on the outside of the house. So she opens it up and then she looks in and she sees some purple glowy on the walls. That same hex magic. She kind of sees like the weird basement, some purple glowy, and she's looking in. And then boom, a guy appears next to her and says something about like snoopers or snoop much or something like that. And then it kind of cuts to black. And it turned out, I had to rewind it to see what it was. It ends up being Pietro, that's wearing like some weird hat. So I didn't recognize it was him. But he finally shows up and says like a snoop much, whatever. Again, showing that he's clearly under the influence as well. And he caught her snooping around. So I guess he's like being the bodyguard of the area, so to speak. So that's kind of how it ended. for that bonus scene. So we're gonna have to wait and see, obviously, next episode how Photon's gonna have to try to intervene, or she's gonna have to leave now that she can leave and enter and get help. Whether she goes out and gets Doctor Strange because she knows there's magic involved, or again, I'm still waiting to figure out how, Anthony Mackie is involved in this. How Falcon's gonna show up.
Yeah.
2 episodes left. Is he gonna have to fly Doctor Strange? Like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but he was on the talk of the show, so I assume he's in it. But we'll have to wait and see kind of the final hurrah. But wow,
Yeah.
we're 2 episodes away, and I'm so excited.
So good. It is so good, man. It is definitely picking up week after week, and like these are must-watch episodes. Honestly, like this is a must-watch show, especially if you want to continue on. I think all the shows are going to intertwine with all the shows and movies and everything are going to be intertwining together. So all these shows will be mini, or I guess extended movies, because when you add them up, they're longer than normal movies. But it's great to see that that they're doing a good mix of shows that make sense and are important, and not just fillers.
Absolutely. The intro is great. We're in the 2000s, and now I think we're in Endgame, right? We're rushing to the end. She knows something's up. She's in the basement. She's still under a spell, but she knows that something's not right. Vision's on her way to her. We'd have Photon that's like gonna try to save her and try to figure out what's going on. So Agatha is getting close to being discovered truly, and she's got to do whatever her plan is, and it involved capturing the kids and bringing Wanda down there, clearly needing her magic because she has magic and she's clearly very powerful. But why couldn't she just do what she needed to? She clearly needs, like you said, Wanda there. Her magic powers, the kids. There's a connection. Like I said, I think Mephisto is going to be at the heart of it. But it's going to be a very interesting surprise last 2 episodes. Now I'm kind of curious. Do you think they're going to be like an hour episode, the last 2? Make it more longer?
I really, really hope so. I think it would make sense. At least the last one, I think. I have a feeling it might be an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
Well, I don't know. It depends. They made the last episode longer than the average, right?
Yeah,
so a little bit longer. So it would make sense.
So I think they might try and extend it to maybe a full hour, maybe a little bit longer, depending. And maybe the second last next week's might be 45 minutes. I don't recall how long this one was. I think it was in 40 or 38 or something.
They used to be just like 27 minutes, and then they're slimming in longer, which explains why there's not 12 episodes. They kind of condensed some of them into longer.
Yeah, it's supposed to be episodes. 12 half-an-hour episodes, and then moved it to 9. Right?
Yeah, so some of them are 40 minutes and such to kind of make up that extra footage and kind of move the show along, which I guess they thought with 12 episodes it was just dragging on, and they're like, hey, let's just condense some of this into here and kind of get the show going, which it has been going at a great pace. So I'm really happy for that.
Definitely. Yeah, they definitely picked it up. The beginning was just kind of whatever, as mentioned before, but I really like the pace and how they're doing it. And it all makes sense now, looking back. And then after this ends, it's just a couple of weeks before Winter Soldier and Falcon premieres as well. So that'll be great to see if it intertwines with this show, or if it's on its own, or how do we get the intro with Anthony Mackie as a Falcon, or what it may be.
No, I think you're right. There's like a 2-week hiatus or so roughly when the other show kicks off. Now, I was curious. Do you think what was your thoughts with the whole stuff reverting to the past and I guess like all the different timelines or different decades in her house? Like, did you read into that at all? Like, it wasn't just like, oh, she was losing control, but like things were shifting. Like the video game console was going back in time and then back to like
Uno,
and then Atari, cards. And then Uno, like Atari, and then you have Uno. I'm like, well, I don't know if that jumped forward again. And then you had like the chair kind of go back into black and white, but then come back into color. So it's kind of jumping around. And I was wondering, like, do you think that's just her losing her control, or do you think that there's something else? Because Agatha you wouldn't think would be messing her that way. And
no, I think because she overextended her powers, I think it kind of put everything into maybe a little bit of an unstable state. So it's just kind of going beyond her point. She kind of broke, and just because she was worried about Vision, she attacked her brother. She didn't care who saw anything. She paused everything, and she used her extreme powers, and then is stress and everything like that. So I think she's kind of breaking down with everything that's going on, and not knowing what is fully going. Even this episode, she kept saying, I don't have an answer. She was telling her boys, you're looking for me for an answer, and I don't know. And even with the when she's talking to the us, breaking the fourth wall, sitting down, she's like, I can't explain it. Like, I don't know why that's happened. Like, at first she's like, yeah, it's kind of weird, no big deal. And then she just breaks down like, I can't explain why that happens, kind of thing.
And what are your thoughts on Vision's talking heads when he's talking to the camera? Because clearly that means Agatha is
Yeah.
there interviewing him, and being at two places at once seems kind of odd. But I mean, she is magical, so I guess it's possible. But um, again, I assume it was done there for comic relief because he was all like, I'm very like, I'm not amused at this and all this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Very like Jim from The Office and those kind of funny moments. But again, we found out that again, when they're doing the talking heads, they're literally talking to Agatha. She's the director behind the camera. So I'm kind of curious, was she there as well, talking to Vision, and why is she still, I guess, is she doing this to keep
So
up a front so those on the outside who are watching make it feel like a show? Or why is she, or that's the other question. Why is it like a TV show? What's the purpose of that?
yeah, so I don't know why they would make it like a TV show. My only thought or assumption may be that um, Wanda made it into a TV show so that she can have it the way that she wants and she can narrate it and she can control it, kind of thing.
And it would
And
make sense.
it might make it more, less evil to make it like as a show and these people are characters and not personalize it. They're just like actors for her. And then the other thing, I think this is just my thought. Agatha is not the one doing the camera in the shows. I think she was the one that asked that because she's at one point when Scarlet Witch is saying, "I don't know why this is happening." There's a male voice, like a director, that says, "Do you think you deserve this because of what you've done?" And she's
Correct.
like, "You're not supposed to talk back." So I think, and then when we were looking at Agatha in the back, Scarlet Witch was in the background trying to look to see, like she's looking who said that kind of thing.
Yes.
So I think maybe she was just there for that point, for that time, but with Vision and the other times, it was just part of the show and
Okay.
the way that uh, Scarlet Witch had it. But it threw Scarlet Witch off when someone, the director said, "Do you think you deserve this because of what you've done?" She's like, "You're not supposed to talk," kind of thing. Was her rebuttal. So
Yeah.
that was my feeling.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Very, very smartly done. Again, applaud them
Yes,
very
yes,
well. And at this point, you know, as I've said, we've got a lot of answers to our questions about who's behind it and is she under control and a lot of this kind of stuff. But at the same time, there's still more questions to be answered. And I'm sure
yes.
we'll get most of them, if not all of them, answered in the next two episodes. I do feel like they're going to still keep dangling
Little
the carrot at the end of the
cliffhanger.
stick. Yeah, to kind of keep
Yeah,
you wanting to see what's next, to jump in to see the next movie or the next show or season two or however they kind of propel forward. Like you said, if they're constantly intertwined, season two could be Agatha does something else and they have to go or she traps
chasing
someone
or
else
to yeah.
and they got to figure out another way to kind of get them out. But it'll be very, very interesting to see where they go from here. But man, kudos to them. Kudos to Disney and kudos
Yes,
to
very
Marvel.
smart and different kind of format for a show as well. But they've been making it work and it makes sense. So I applaud them a lot for doing this. This is obviously a bit different, but different is good sometimes, and it's not rinse and repeat with some of these shows. The same kind of thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, any final closing thoughts or Easter eggs or anything else you wanted to cover?
No, I think we covered them all, but I can't wait for next week's episode. They seem to be going full steam ahead now and just pumping a whole bunch of things. I thought they may have held off on revealing who was kind of behind it, but maybe we'll find out someone even more is behind it, or Agatha's just the middle person, or the hands-on dirty, the thug type of person
Hmm.
doing the dirty work. So I'm intrigued to see what else they kind of throw at us.
Absolutely. So there you have it, folks. That's our thoughts on episode 7 of the WandaVision show, Breaking the Fourth Wall. You heard our thoughts, you heard our reveals, and our expectations kind of going forward. But let us know if we missed anything important. Was there anything for all of those more hardcore Marvel fans that we missed? Drop a comment below. If you like our show, definitely click the subscribe button, like the video. And as always, friends, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.